The studio lights burned bright, cameras whirred, and the air was thick with tension. Clara Jennings, a 27-year-old journalist known for her sharp wit and fearless questioning, straightened her notes. She had one mission: get Donald Trump to answer the questions no one else dared to ask. Across from her sat Trump, composed, unreadable. He was there to discuss his new initiative supporting small-town industries, but Clara had other intentions. "Mr. President," she began, her voice firm, "many accuse you of using charity projects for publicity. How do you respond to that?" Trump didn't flinch. "I don't do it for cameras, Clara, I do it because America needs action, not talk." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. This was going to be a long interview. Clara pushed harder, intent on exposing what she thought was political performance. Yet, the more she challenged him, the calmer he became, and that composure only frustrated her more. Minutes later, professionalism gave way to irritation. "Then why," she demanded, "do people still struggle while you claim to help them?" Trump leaned back, paused, and then stood. The entire room froze. "Are we done?" he asked quietly, and without another word, walked off the set. The studio fell silent, the echo of his footsteps fading into the stillness. The producers exchanged worried looks. Did he just walk out? Someone whispered. Clara sat motionless, heart racing. She had pushed hard before, but no one had ever walked out mid. "Fine," she muttered under her breath. "If he can't handle tough questions," but something about his exit didn't feel right. He hadn't stormed off in anger. His expression had been thoughtful, almost heavy. "Clara," her producer said quietly, "should we cut the feed?" "No," she replied firmly. "Keep rolling. Maybe he'd come back. Maybe this could still go viral." 10 long minutes passed. The crew started packing up. Clara sighed, guilt mixing with frustration. "Maybe I went too far," she murmured. Just then, a studio assistant burst in, eyes wide. "He's coming back." Clara straightened instantly. "What?" The door opened. Trump re-entered, holding something wrapped in a worn piece of cloth. His face was calm, almost gentle. He placed it on the table between them. "Clara," he said quietly, "before you ask another question, I want to show you something." The atmosphere shifted. The crew froze again, sensing this moment wasn't about politics anymore. Trump carefully unwrapped the cloth, revealing an old, yellowed envelope. Clara frowned. "What is that?" He slid it toward her. "A letter," he said softly, "written by a farmer's daughter more than 30 years ago." Clara hesitated, curiosity winning over skepticism. "Why show this to me?" "Because," Trump replied, "people often think they know the truth about someone, but sometimes, it takes a story like this to explain who they really are." Clara unfolded the letter. The paper was delicate, ink slightly smudged. She began reading aloud. "Dear Mr. Trump, my father says our farm will be gone by Christmas. He says no one cares about small people like us, but I told him maybe someone out there still does." Her voice wavered. "This is real." Trump nodded. "It was written by a 12-year-old girl named Anna. Her family lost everything. That letter changed how I saw America." Clara looked up, unsure what to say. "You wanted to know why I care about small towns?" Trump continued. "That's why." The studio was silent again, not from tension, but from something deeper. "Anna lived in Kansas," Trump said quietly. "Her father worked from sunrise to sunset, proud but struggling. Drought came, and the bank took their land. I read about them in a local paper. They had printed Anna's letter. She wasn't asking for money, just hope." He paused. "I called her father that same week. He didn't want charity, just a chance. So I invested in his town, built new wells, opened markets, set fair prices." Clara blinked in disbelief. "You never told anyone." "I didn't do it for attention," he said. "I did it because her letter reminded me what leadership should mean." She read one line again, softly. "If someone powerful remembers people like us, maybe we can remember to hope again." Her throat tightened. "What happened to her?" Trump smiled faintly. "That's what I came back to tell you." The cameras kept rolling. No one dared interrupt. "Anna's father passed away 5 years later," Trump said. "Before he died, he told me that her letter wasn't written for me, it was for anyone who still believed good could win over greed." Clara swallowed hard. She wasn't seeing a politician anymore, she was seeing a man with history, with heart. "I kept that letter," Trump said, glancing down. "Whenever things got loud, whenever I was accused of selfishness, I'd open it again. She reminded me of America's heart." "Did you ever see her again?" Clara asked quietly. He nodded. 15 years later, I was funding new equipment for a small-town hospital. A nurse approached me, tired eyes. Kind smile. She said, "You don't remember me, but I once wrote you a letter from a dying farm." Clara gasped. "It was Anna." Trump nodded again. "She became a nurse, helping others, just like her father wanted." He looked at her gently. "That's why I walked out earlier. You were asking about motives. Mine are in that letter." Clara's certainty cracked. "I didn't expect this," she admitted. "I came here thinking I'd expose you for dodging questions." Trump smiled faintly. "And instead, you found answers." The silence that followed wasn't awkward, it was human. "Do you still hear from her?" Clara asked. "Sometimes," he said. "She runs a small clinic now. Treats veterans, farmers, never turns anyone away." Her producer whispered, "This is gold." but Clara silenced him. "This isn't about ratings," she said softly. Trump stood, glancing at the studio lights. "You see, Clara," he said, "people think leadership is about winning, but sometimes it's about remembering the ones who didn't." Clara closed her notebook slowly. "Maybe I forgot that too. Maybe we all do," Trump replied. For the first time in her career, Clara wasn't chasing a headline. She was witnessing a story that could change her own. When the interview resumed, her tone had shifted, not softer, but more sincere. "Mr. President," she asked, "what did Anna's story teach you the most?" "That no title makes you immune to forgetting where you came from," Trump answered. "Power means nothing unless it lifts others. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is listen." Clara bit her lip. She hadn't done much of that at first. Then Trump surprised her again. "Clara, what made you become a reporter?" Caught off guard, she said quietly. "My mom. She believed in truth even when no one listened." Trump nodded. "Then maybe we have more in common than you think." The words hung in the air. Crew members wiped their eyes discreetly. This wasn't politics anymore, it was people. "Mr. President," Clara said finally, "would you let me share Anna's story on air?" He smiled. "If you share it honestly, I promise." Trump reached into his jacket and handed her a faded photo. Anna, her father, and a much younger Trump standing by a barn. "That was the day we rebuilt their well," he said softly. "They look happy," Clara whispered. "They were," Trump replied, "because someone believed in them again." She asked, "Do you ever think about all the other letters people sent you?" "I kept them," Trump said. "Hundreds, maybe thousands. Some ask for help, some just say thank you. But they all remind me the small things matter most." The cameras still rolled, but the moment had long transcended television. Clara exhaled slowly. "You could have said all this earlier," she whispered. Trump met her eyes. "Because you weren't ready to listen, and I wasn't ready to talk." The words struck her harder than she expected. "Sometimes," Trump said, "the most important conversations need silence first." He paused, then added, "You reminded me that people still question, still care enough to ask why. That's a good thing." Clara smiled faintly. "Guess we both learned something." "Maybe that's what this country needs more of," Trump said, listening before labeling. As the director signaled to wrap up, Clara raised her hand. "One last question," she said. Trump nodded. "If Anna's watching, what would you say to her?" He took a deep breath. "I'd say thank you. You reminded me what America should stand for, compassion with courage." The studio cameras captured it, a single tear glistening in Clara's eyes. And for the first time, no one cut it out. That night, the segment aired across the nation. Millions tuned in expecting confrontation, but instead found compassion. Social media lit up. Trump and the reporter who changed everything. The lost letter that touched 2 lives. But for Clara, the public reaction didn't matter. What truly changed was inside her, sitting alone in her apartment. She replayed the interview. The words from the letter echoed in her mind. "If someone powerful remembers people like us, maybe we can remember to hope again." She opened her laptop and began typing, not a headline, but a story titled "The Letter That Stopped the Interview." Across the country, in Trump's office, the same letter sat framed once more. On the back of the frame, he had written a note to Clara Jennings for asking the right question at the right time. Neither of them knew that their story was about to reach someone who needed it most. In a small Kansas hospital, Nurse Anna Turner turned up the TV volume and froze. There they were, Trump and Clara talking about her letter. The same envelope she had written decades ago as a desperate 12-year-old was now on national television. Tears welled in her eyes. "He remembered," she whispered. Her hospital was small, only 12 rooms and fading paint on the walls. A fellow nurse called out, "Anna, you need to see this." When Anna saw her childhood letter on the screen, her heart raced. She remembered writing it by candlelight while her father, sick and coughing, told her not to bother important people with their small-town problems. Yet that letter had changed everything. Trump had arrived, not with cameras, but with workers, tools, and real help. Now, seeing that he still carried her words decades later filled her with renewed faith that kindness wasn't forgotten, and truth still mattered. The next morning, Trump's assistant entered his office. "Sir, there's a woman named Anna Turner on the line." Trump froze for a moment before picking up. "Anna," he asked softly. "Yes, Mr. Trump. It's been a long time," she replied. He smiled. "You saw the interview?" "I did," she said warmly. "I can't believe you still kept my letter." "I never forgot what it meant," he replied. "It reminded me that the smallest voices often carry the biggest truths." Anna hesitated before adding, "You changed our lives, and I've tried to do the same for others ever since." Trump's tone softened. "You already are, Anna." Then she said something unexpected. "Mr. Trump, Clara's story moved me. I'd like to meet both of you, not as a nurse or a journalist, but as people who still believe in doing good." Trump paused, thoughtful. "You know what? Let's make that happen." For the first time in months, he felt something deeper than pride, gratitude. Some stories, he realized, never truly end. They simply wait to be continued. Clara overwhelmed by the public response, received thousands of emails, messages of thanks, stories of kindness, notes from people inspired to help others. But one message stopped her cold. Clara, this is Anna Turner, the girl from the letter. I'd love to meet you and thank you for telling our story, right? Clara reread it 3 times before replying instantly, I'd be honored. Let's make it happen. 2 weeks later, in a quiet Kansas courtyard, they met. Trump arrived first, dressed simply. No cameras or speeches, just sincerity. Clara followed, visibly nervous. Then, Anna stepped out of the hospital doors, her smile warm and full of grace. You haven't changed much, Mr. Trump, Anna said softly. He chuckled. And you've done something far greater. You've healed people. Anna turned to Clara. And you reminded the world that not every interview has to divide us. Clara blushed, humbled. The 3 of them sat together on a wooden bench, not as president, journalist, or nurse, but as people bound by one letter and one choice to care. Anna showed them a folder she'd kept, old photos and documents from her father's farm. Trump stopped on a handwritten note. If she ever finds this, tell her I'm proud. Anna's voice broke. That's my father's handwriting. He must have hidden it. Trump placed his hand over hers. He'd be proud. Anna, you've given others the hope he dreamed of. Before leaving, Trump handed her a small box. Inside was the framed letter, and beneath it, a golden heart-shaped pin. This is from the foundation we're building, he said, the Anna Turner Fund, to help rural hospitals across America. Anna gasped. You're serious? Trump smiled. You're the reason it exists. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I don't know what to say. Just keep doing what you're doing, Trump said gently. As he turned to leave, Anna whispered, you never really walked out that day, Mr. Trump. You just went to find your heart again. He smiled softly. Maybe we all did. Back in New York, Clara entered her newsroom, a changed woman. Her boss greeted her, grinning. Jennings, your interview broke records. What's next? Clara opened her notebook. One line was written inside. Tell stories that heal, not hurt. I'm starting a new series, she said. Real people, real kindness. He laughed. You think people will watch that? Clara met his gaze. They already are. Months later, the Anna Turner Fund launched. On a small outdoor stage, Trump, Anna, and Clara stood together before farmers, nurses, and families. No politics, no spotlight, just humanity. This foundation, Trump said, isn't about power or press. It's about people who remind us what compassion truly means. Anna stepped forward. I once thought one letter couldn't change anything, but it did, because someone decided to listen. In the crowd, Clara filmed quietly, her eyes wet. The applause that followed was not loud but steady, like a heartbeat. Weeks later, Clara's editor found unseen footage from that first interview, the moment just before Trump walked out. In it, he could be heard murmuring, she doesn't understand yet, but she will. Watching it, Clara felt tears rise. He hadn't stormed out, he'd stepped away to bring back something that mattered. She uploaded the clip with one caption, sometimes silence speaks the loudest. The video went viral again, not for controversy, but for compassion. A year later, Clara returned to Kansas. The hospital had doubled in size. 6 new clinics had opened, and Anna's childhood letter now hung framed at the entrance beneath a plaque that read, Hope begins with a word. Change begins with listening. Trump visited quietly that day, pausing by the frame. You were right, Anna, he whispered. One letter can make a difference. Clara ended her documentary with one final line. Sometimes the story we're trying to expose is the one that exposes us, reminding us who we were meant to be. The screen faded to black, and somewhere, a little girl watching whispered, maybe I'll write a letter, too, because sometimes, that's all it takes to change the world.